Hello and welcome. I am Lopamudra Moitro and you are listening to my weekly podcast, What's in a Story, where I read stories from my books along with a small introduction about each. These stories are from my work as an anthropologist from across India and South Asia, and the introductions with each story helps to explain different related information about, say, maybe aspects like history, languages and literature, music, trade and economy, festivals, or facts about archaeology, and many other things which are all important to understand or get a meaning or a context of a story. In this second season, we will listen specially to narratives of and about water bodies from Asia, and this will include stories from the smallest of water bodies like wells or small ponds to lakes, rivers, or the sea and the ocean. Let's listen to today's episode in season 2 of What's in a Story. About the story. The arrival of the Parsis to the subcontinent. I read this from my book, How the World Was Born, Wondrous Indian Myths and Legends by Aleph Book Company. Some accounts state that about 18,000 Parsis came in waves of 7. 5 of these groups landed in Diu, 1 at Variav near Surat and 1 at Cambay in Gujarat. The Sanjan Stambh or the Sanjan Memorial Column was constructed in the year 1920 to commemorate the arrival of the Parsis at Sanjan in Gujarat. This column mentions the date of the arrival as 936 CE, formerly referred to as AD. Sanjan Day is celebrated in November, which is attended by many Parsis from the area as well as many other places. In the absence of the history of the early years of the Zoroastrian settlers, the Parsis of India, this narrative, Qissa-i-Sanjan, which is in the form of a poem, holds significant importance in shedding light on the early years of the settlers in the Indian subcontinent. The original poem was written in 432 verse couplets in 1599 CE by a Parsi priest, Bahman Kaikobad, whose name is signed in the conclusion and is assumed as the date of authorship. This is also several centuries after the described events have taken place. His story is based on the lore of priests and speaks of the history of the Zoroastrian community from the days of Zoroaster to the late 15th century. This work was translated into French in 1771 by Abraham Anquetil-Duperron, and by the beginning of 20th century the poem was widely known. The account variously describes how the settlers fought foreign invaders, their failure in the same and their flight. The narrative closes with a chapter on the conveyance of the Fire of Warharan to Navsari. Though the Parsis revere and variously worship all 5 elements of nature, fire holds an important part in their spiritual belief. They consider it to be the purest element. Fire is associated with light, warmth, energy, and the cause for creating life. Thus, every rite, ritual, and ceremony involves the presence of the sacred fire. Follows the story. The arrival of the Parsis to the subcontinent from my book, How the World Was Born, Wondrous Indian Myths and Legends. The story. The arrival of the Parsis to the subcontinent. The first chapter of Qissa-i-Sanjan begins with the Zoroastrians leaving Greater Khorasan after the fall of the Sassanid Empire by mid-7th century CE, formerly referred to as AD. The travellers first reached a port city near Bushehr in present-day Iran. The life there was full of hardships as they battled continuously for their community against the locals. Through tough times, 15 long years went by, and one day the sage Dastur advised them to move towards Hindustan to seek a better life for all. He said, "The period during which we were permitted by fate to eat and drink in this land has come to an end. It will be well if we leave this country. We must go out of this region forthwith, otherwise we shall all fall into a snare, and prudence will then be useless and our business spoiled. It will be better, therefore, for us to fly from these lands to Hindustan and run away towards Hind for fear of life for religion's sake." Thus, a ship was made, ready for the sea. It hoisted sail with the men, women and children and rowed towards Hind. The ship anchored immediately when it sighted land, and this was the island of Diu. Presently, this is an union territory in the western part of India. This is part of the present union territory also of Dadra and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu, and is situated on an island in the Gulf of Cambay, also known as Cambay, on the Arabian Sea, off the southern tip of the Kathiawar Peninsula in southwestern part of the western Indian state of Gujarat. The travellers took up home and stayed there for 19 long years, and towards the end, once again, their wise sage Dastur said, "O my enlightened friends, hence also must we move to another spot which will be our second home." All the members of the community were delighted to seek an equally better place, and they set sail once again towards Gujarat. However, soon after setting sail, the vessel was caught in a raging storm at sea, which completely took all the members aboard by surprise. The large ship rocked from side to side and frequently started to spin in such a manner as if it was stuck within a whirlpool. Water was splashing all around, and it was almost on the verge of being capsized. All the members feared the worst, and they started praying to the Almighty. "O thou wise one, come to our aid on this occasion and for once deliver us from this distress. Thou all-conquering Warharan, befriend us and lead us to victory on overcoming this adversity. We shall not care for the tempest and give no place to fear in our hearts. Hearken then to the complaints of the helpless and show thou the way to us who are lost in this waste of waters. If we escape from this dreadful storm, if disaster does not confront us, and if we reach the realm of Hind with cheerful hearts and merry thoughts, we shall kindle a great fire to Warharan. Deliver us then from this strait and keep us sound and strong. We are resigned to everything that comes from the Lord, for save Him we possess no other friend. The Almighty came to the rescue. The storm soon subsided, and the fire of the glorious Warharan saw them to safety as a soft wind started to blow, completely wiping off the stormy weather. All the travelers prayed, and just as the captain started to steer the ship, it reached the coast of Sanjan. In that region lived a virtuous king named Jadirana. The travelers approached the king and requested asylum. The wise Dastur said, "O Raja of Rajas, give us a place in this city. We are strangers who have arrived in thy town and place of residence, seeking protection." The king welcomed them, but was suddenly struck with fear at the thought of accepting complete strangers into his kingdom. Thus, he questioned the Dastur about their religion and also about their beliefs. He further put up 4 clauses for granting asylum and said, "O thou devout Dastur, tell us, first of all, what are your customs? Let me first see what your beliefs are, and we will then arrange for your residence here. Secondly, if we give you shelter, you must abandon the language of your country and adopt the speech of the realm of Hind. Thirdly, as to the dress of your women, they should wear garments like those of our women. Fourthly, you must put off all your arms and scimitars and cease to wear them anywhere. Fifthly, when your children are wedded, the marriage should take place in the evening. If you first give a solemn promise to observe all these, you will be given places and abodes in my city." The Dastur heard all of these from the Raja and agreed. He then replied, "O sagacious king, hearken now to what I say of our creed. Do not be heavy-hearted on our account, for never shall any evil deed proceed from us in this land. We shall be the friends of all Hindustan. Know then for certain that we are the worshippers of Yastan, one God, and have fled only for our religion's sake. We have abandoned all we possessed and borne many hardships on the road. Houses and mansions and goods and chattels we have all forsaken, O auspicious prince. We strangers are of the seed of Jamshed and revere the sun and the moon. 3 other things also out of creation we hold in honor, that is the cow, fire and water. Thus, we adore fire, water, cows, and the sun and the moon likewise. It is the Lord who has created all those things that are on earth, and we pray to them because He Himself has preferred them. Our kushti, that is the sacred girdle, is made of 72 threads and we repeat when we tie it on solemn professions of faith. Likewise, the Dastur also explained about the women who were strictly aloof from everything, and also explained about their other customs, rites and rituals, marriages and arms and weapons. Having listened carefully to the Dastur, the Raja realized that the strangers were peace-loving people and were genuinely seeking asylum and a safe place to reside. He thus agreed to grant them an area to live. Soon, the people set off in search of an ideal place to settle down. Finally, after surveying the land, a spacious plain was chosen, where the soil was excellent. And it was here that the travelers started to build their home. The Dastur gave it the name of Sanjan, and soon it was flourishing as much as their original home far, far away. The place came to be known as Sanjan from that day onwards. After settling down, the Dastur, accompanied by many, visited the court of the Raja and sought permission to build a fire temple. They said, "O Prince, you have given us a dwelling spot in this land. We now wish to install in the Indian climate the fire of Warharan, that is Warharan." They also highlighted several crucial aspects which must be observed in order to consecrate the temple. The Dastur said they needed to clear at least 3 farsangs, which is an ancient Iranian or Persian unit of measurement for how far a man can walk in a day, stone to stone. So at least 3 farsangs of land, so that the ceremonies connected with the sanctification may be duly performed. He also added that in order to consecrate the temple, the presence of individuals from other faiths should be avoided, and there should not be any kind of noise around the temple which will interrupt the ceremonies. The Raja agreed, and very soon all arrangements to build a temple were made. All the members of the community provided as much help as they could. The Raja also sent offerings of many kinds. Many of the travelers had brought tools with them from their homeland, and they used these to build the temple following their own spiritual beliefs and customs. Finally, the temple was complete, and the aged Dasturs thus installed the Iran Shah, beaming with light in conformity with their own rites and rituals. Then, all the lay people and the Dasturs celebrated the new temple in the new land. The sacred fire is subsequently referred to in the story as the Fire of Warharan. The first chapter ends by describing many of the descendants of the original settlers who moved and dispersed in various directions.